Hey guys, happy new year. I'm up in my studio. I just got it done. I just cleaned it up. I finally had time over the holidays to rearrange some things up here and reorganize the studio. And there's been something that's been on my mind for a while, and it is tips for non-Nashville guitar players for 2025. Let's go. Winter has finally hit in Utah. We had a green Christmas, and today is, I think it's the 4th. And we finally got snow on the ground for the first time, I think this year, pretty much. Before we get into this video, I wanted to just do a quick studio tour here. This is my main, if you guys are new to the channel, this is kind of my main guitar amp, drum room slash, I've got a little vocal booth over here and a little PA and stuff. So if you wanted to rehearse in here, you could too. Just lots of guitars though. And I even have this hallway now that comes upstairs full of cases and guitars. So I've been trying to just figure out how to I need to probably sell a few things. Because even though this space for me is big, it's starting to fill up, and I've got guitars over here by the side of my little couch, all my pedals, my acoustic guitars, and I pulled out an old pedal board. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I've got all these pedal boards that they just kind of sit, and I haven't been using them. So since I've been playing a lot of stuff with modelers lately, I just have a modeling pedal board. This is my control room. This is where I do a lot of my mixing for my YouTube videos and also for clients. Have a lot of outboard, not a lot, just some outboard mic preamps to help the sound, some API, Neve, SSL, Focusrite stuff. I also have a 2 Notes Captor X, I believe, Torpedo Captor X for recording real amp heads with IR speaker sounds. So not all, I do kind of a hybrid sometimes. And then over here I should probably turn some lights on in here. All right, and then over here behind me, I've got some synths, keyboard, and some lighting, because this is where I kind of film my YouTube videos when I'm doing gear demos. I'm recording a lot with the Fractal FM3. In fact, I haven't mic'd up a guitar cab in probably a year since I've got this, because when people come in here, they just plug into this and they're like, that's the sound I want, and then we go. So I don't know, still love amps, but they're more of a live thing for me now because the modeling has gotten so good. But I have 3 Sony cameras that I use for my YouTube videos, and the other one's over here. Then I have a switcher that I can switch down here using my toe if I need to, or if I want to put it up on this table, I can have someone switch for me. But yeah, this is kind of where I do some of my gear demos and talk about gear. I've kind of taken a few weeks off of doing anything YouTube or social media, which has been kind of nice, spending time with family. But let's get into this video. All right, so number 1 tip for non-Nashville guitarists. You live in a small town, there's not a lot going on. Tip number 1, get to know as many musicians as possible, get involved in the community. There will be people in your community who you will not gel with, you will not connect with. They will maybe not like you, you may not like them. Find the people that like you, like what you're doing, like you as a person, and ignore all the rest of the stuff, because you're just going to be wasting your time with people that either are dicks or that you just don't connect with. And so don't make it into a big deal, but find those people that you really connect with and you really want to play music with, and you all have the same goals in mind, and you appreciate one another's talent. That's tip number 1 for non-Nashville guitar player. in a small town. I live in Utah, and I can count on both hands the guitar players that I kind of know that are successful around the state. You are in a smaller area going to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. So take that as your advantage. Put yourself out there is one of the things I would say. So that's tip number 2, is don't be afraid of social media. I feel like you should embrace it and use it as a tool, but don't become obsessed. If you become successful at it, it could take off and it could help you, especially YouTube or any kind of like TikTok stuff that you can do that'll help, or Instagram that can help your just awareness. I think that's the new currency, is awareness of your brand and yourself these days, which kind of sucks because I don't love getting on social media and doing a lot of this stuff, but it's almost a necessary evil these days to get on here and promote what you are doing. Tip number 3, try to find your strengths and use those as an advantage to you. If you have a inclination to be a guitar player, but also you are into production or into anything else music-wise that can help the community, do something that helps the community and helps your other musicians. Find ways. It's not just about being a guitar player these days. It's about being almost everything. You have to be a producer. Learn to sing. Learn to write. Learn to be flexible, and learn to basically just fit in and gel, because if you're in a small town, there's not a whole lot going on as much as there is in a bigger town where there's a lot more opportunities. There's also a lot more competition in those other towns. So even though the opportunities are there, there's going to be a lot more people vying for those. In a small town, be flexible, because the opportunities that come along, you may just have to say, hey, bite the bullet. I'm going to do this to make a little bit of money. Whether it be an acoustic solo gig, you might decide, someone might ask you to play in an orchestra pit as a guitar player, might pay well. Any kind of gig I feel like is good if you are trying to build yourself as a guitar player and putting yourself out there. Tip number 4, continue improving your skills. I would say if you are in a place in your life where you feel like you're a pretty good guitar player, and you are kind of just in a rut, continue to work on your skills every day. Play the guitar at least 20 minutes a day. Every day, I feel like, is the key. Also find your own style, but be flexible enough to fit in with other bands to make the money that you need to make, a little extra cash. If that's not your goal, I feel like a small town musician type thing. For me, I've been very successful with making a little bit of extra money on the side while I have a real job. And in fact, I'll tell you a story. I built my first house while I was building my first house, and actually got into my first house, and I was living in my first house. I was playing gigs almost every weekend in a band. And I would go into work the next Monday after that weekend. We made some cash, and there was a credit union across the street, and I put that cash in a credit union. 5 to 7 years later, I had $30,000 in that credit union, and it went towards the down payment on this house. So it doesn't matter how much money you are making as a musician or a guitar player. It's about putting that money away and making the most out of what you are making and being consistent. So I've been very blessed, very successful, but I've also put in a lot of hard work. And I feel like tip number 5 is work hard, but don't burn yourself out. So non-Nashville guitar players, find any way you can to get your recognition, I guess, is the biggest key, is get yourself out there. Even though I already said that one, I feel like that's a huge one, is to get noticed, but be able to adapt, and don't be I think this is probably tip number 6, is don't be a dick. Yeah, don't be a dick. That's there's not much more I can say about that. Don't be cocky. Don't be a dick. Be confident, but don't be a dick. Be nice. Be a good person. Tip number 7 is don't give up. So I want to tell you a little story. This is a story about my brother. Moved here from Omaha a couple years ago when he got here to move into his house that they were renting, because he bought property out here in Utah to build a house. When he got here to move into the house they were renting, the guy that was supposed to be out of the house was still there. We showed up with moving vans. We were ready to move my brother in. This guy was still living there. And the guy didn't hold up to his end of the deal. My brother went into the house, said, "Hey, you owe me money. I've already paid for rent, and you've been living here for the 3 months that I paid rent." Long story short, my brother was able to get out of that deal and got into a better house, a rental, and then ended up living in that for like a year. And then he got into a house, all while his property that he bought here in Utah was sold. Was a false bill of goods, because it was sold as a property that you could build a home on, but it was not. There's a bunch of legal stuff that happened. He had to go to court. It's just been crazy since my brother moved here. Ended up almost chopping his toes off right before his daughter's wedding. Finally, I think his house, ended up losing his job several months ago, right as they were starting to build this new house of theirs. But he never complained once. So I think number 7 is don't give up and have a positive attitude about everything that you do, even though sometimes things can be hard. I think that is the biggest takeaway from me over the years playing in bands, recording, being involved in music, is don't give up, have a positive attitude, and just keep on keeping on, you guys. So I don't think you necessarily need to move to Nashville as a guitar player these days. In fact, all the videos I watch from these Nashville cats, it's almost getting too overpopulated there, and people are moving away from there. And even the ones that are staying are like, oh, Nashville just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and there's more traffic, and it's getting nuts. So if you're thinking about moving there, I don't know. I've never been, but doesn't sound like my cup of tea. Make a name for yourself where you're at. I think you can do it these days with the internet, with just getting yourself out there. And thanks for watching, you guys. If you're new to my channel, my name is Rich Bischoff, and we will see you at the next video. Adios.